A GRI-aligned report just got rejected by an EU client. It wasn't wrong, it was the wrong framework. And that mistake, it's happening on real projects right now. GRI, TCFD, CSRD. 3 different questions. Only one of them has legal teeth. And if you're not totally sure which one applies to your project, you're not alone. Most practitioners were never actually taught the difference. Stick with me, because later in this video, I'll show you the exact number that decides if your project's parent company is even in scope anymore. So what does ESG reporting actually mean? It's the disclosure of environmental, social, and governance performance to a defined audience. In plain terms, it's how an organization proves, on paper, what it's actually doing on the environmental and social side of the business. And here's the thing, it's not one document. It's an outcome produced under a specific framework. CSRD report, TCFD aligned, GRI referenced. Those aren't interchangeable, even if they sound like they should be. Your job isn't just being sustainable. It's citing the right framework for the right reason. Let's start with GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative. It's voluntary, topic-based, not a law, meaning nobody's required to use it, but a lot of organizations choose to anyway. Structurally, think universal standards plus topic standards. GRI 305 for emissions, GRI 306 for waste. Its materiality principle is impact materiality, which just means what does your organization actually do to the world around it? 10,000 plus organizations use it as their voluntary baseline. And yes, CSRD's ESRS references it, but referencing GRI alone doesn't satisfy CSRD. Next, TCFD, Climate Risk Specific, not a general ESG standard. 4 pillars and only 4. Governance, strategy, risk management, metrics, and targets. Its materiality is financial, meaning the question flips. It's not what your organization does to the climate. It's what climate risk does to your organization's bottom line. Here's the part most auditors miss. The task force disbanded in 2023. Its recommendations got absorbed into IFRS S2 and in the EU into ESRS E1. So when someone asks for TCFD reporting today, they're almost always asking for someone else's climate module, whether they realize it or not. Now, CSRD. This is EU law, specifically a directive, which just means the EU sets the requirement and each member state writes it into their own national law. This is the only one of the 3 that's an actual legal requirement, not a voluntary choice. And this next part just changed. Omnibus I, in force since March 18, 2026, narrowed the scope. You're only in scope now if you've got 1,000 plus employees and 450 million euros or more in net turnover. The old 4-wave system? Gone. Abolished. New thresholds apply from financial year 2027. First reports land in 2028. If your classification is from last year, it might already be wrong. Let's put all 3 side by side, because seeing them together is where this actually clicks. GRI, voluntary, impact materiality, topic-based. TCFD, absorbed into ESRS E1, financial materiality, climate only. CSRD, mandatory EU law, double materiality, cross-topic. Only CSRD carries legal penalties. Only CSRD requires both impact and financial materiality together. We'll get to exactly what that means in a moment. Which means a project can be GRI aligned voluntarily and still sit completely outside CSRD's legal scope. Framework choice is a scope question first. content comes second. So what actually triggers CSRD? Two numbers. 1,000 plus employees, on average, during the financial year, and at least 450 million euros in annual net turnover. Both, not either or. Listed SMEs, what used to be Wave 3, they're fully out now. Removed, not delayed. And Wave 1 companies, the ones reporting since 2024, member states can exempt them through 2025 and 2026. One more thing worth knowing, check this at the group level, not just your own entity. If you're the parent company, these thresholds apply on a consolidated basis, meaning your subsidiaries' numbers count too. Here's the distinction that trips up even seasoned auditors. So if this feels tricky, you're in good company, whatever your background. Materiality, in plain terms, just means which topics actually matter enough to report on. GRI's impact materiality asks, does our project affect the world around it? TCFD and ESRS E1's financial materiality asks the opposite direction. Does climate risk affect our finances? CSRD's double materiality requires both, reported separately for every topic. So a topic can be financially immaterial, meaning it doesn't threaten your bottom line, and still required if it's impact material, meaning your project genuinely affects the world around it. If you've only ever screened for financial risk, you've only done half of what CSRD actually requires. So how do these three actually connect on a real project? Site data, waste, emissions, water, gets collected once. It flows into GRI structured metrics, then through an ESRS double materiality screen, the same two-sided test we just walked through, and out as a CSRD disclosure. Notice what happened to TCFD. It's folded right into that ESRS E1 node, not a separate deliverable anymore. One dataset, three destinations. Your job isn't writing three reports from scratch, it's routing the same verified data correctly. Here's a live example to make all of this concrete. A subcontractor owned by an EU parent group. The parent's scope status decides what data flows upward, not the subcontractor's own size. If that parent clears the thresholds, site-level data becomes reportable, even though the site itself sits outside the EU. And third country subsidiary reporting? That begins financial year 2028. Don't assume it's already in force. Every framework starts right here. The field data doesn't change. Only the destination does. Misclassification number 1. GRI-aligned does not satisfy CSRD. GRI is voluntary. CSRD is a legal filing, which comes with an assurance requirement, meaning an independent party has to actually verify it. GRI carries no such requirement at all. So, a CSRD request can't be met with a GRI structured substitute. The fix? State explicitly which framework your report is prepared under. Never leave it implied. This is the exact error from the top of this video. Now, you know exactly why it failed. Misclassification number 2. A 2026 request for a TCFD report? In most jurisdictions, that's actually asking for the ESRS E1 climate module, or IFRS S2. A standalone TCFD format document might not satisfy what they actually need anymore, even if it used to. The fix? Clarify whether TCFD is generic language or a specific regulatory citation. And if you were trained before 2023, you're the most likely to make this one. Not because you missed something, but because the rules genuinely moved. Misclassification number 3, and this is the big one. Omnibus I raised the thresholds in March 2026,
So a project classified in scope under the old rules might be exempt now. And don't assume permanent exemption either. Scope gets reviewed again by April 2031. The fix? Re-verify your parent company's scope status every single reporting cycle, not once and done.
So before you touch any reporting request, run through these 5 questions. 1. Is this legally mandatory or voluntary? 2. Does your organization or its parent meet the 1,000 employee €450 million threshold? 3. Is TCFD being used generically or as a formal citation mapping to ESRS E1? 4. Are you being asked for impact, financial, or double materiality? 5. Have you confirmed this against current year thresholds, not last year's? Run this checklist every time, regardless of how many years you've been doing this. Frameworks change. The habit of checking shouldn't.
GRI, TCFD, and CSRD aren't competing choices. They're 3 different questions with 3 different answers. If this helped, the next video in this series is next up. Playlist 3, Video 05. EnviroVerge. Environmental knowledge, field ready.